agony of that affect us and make us angry? Or, then I got on the plane and oh, it was crazy because I was flying from Boise, Idaho to Denver, and then from Denver to Toronto. And those are long flights, but they wouldn't give me a seat assignment, a boarding pass for the Denver to Toronto leg. So they, I tried three different agents, and then I had like 50 minutes to get to the next terminal. I was in Denver, like running to catch the train to get to the next terminal, and they wouldn't give me a boarding pass for that second flight when I left Boise. Anyway, so I get there, and then they tell me I have to check my luggage, and I'm like, what? My carry-on. I'm like, I've got valuables in here, but they hadn't given me a boarding pass, so I was the one that got knocked even though months ago when I got my ticket, I got a seat. So anyway, I was in a bad mood and I just had a meltdown. So what did I do when I left the plane? I took out my expensive $2,000 laptop that I had bought to, produce videos while I'm traveling abroad with Eric. And I left it on the plane when I got off because I was so angry, and the stewardess was laughing at me like, you have to check your luggage. And oh man, it just made me mad. But and then okay, I left my laptop. I went down to baggage claim and I took the wrong piece of luggage. I was so out of it and so distraught and so angry at my sisters for just like ruining the visit. And so I took the wrong piece of luggage. It was exactly the same case, which is so unusual. And I was so angry that they had, it was all bruised and dirty and scuffed up. And, and every time after I'm online, I always wash it because I love it. It was a gift from Eric, to go to Europe last summer. So anyway, so I was so mad. So then Eric picks me up, and now it's like 1 o'clock in the morning because I had to check in my luggage. So then he had, I couldn't just leave. So it was much longer evening. Anyway, long story short, and I remember I my laptop on the plane. So at least we talked to the information people. So the next day, I finally managed to get my laptop back, but I had to drive all the way to the Toronto airport, and that's a crazy freeway, one of the busiest in North America. And then, well, Eric was, not feeling well, but actually he took me there. And we also took the piece of luggage that I couldn't open because it was somebody else's piece of luggage. And I thought, oh, look what they did. They used an automatic lock, and now I can't get into my luggage. So I was like, oh, so we took the piece of luggage back and showed it to, United Airlines. Look what they did. They locked the luggage and I can't open it. So then the United Airlines person is like, well, I'm really sorry. It's not our fault. Sometimes only the luggage people, the customs people have a key. So I'm really sorry. And I'm like, okay, so now I can't get into my piece of luggage. So then we go to the mall and go to a, a luggage store and say, hey, do you have a key to unlock this? Like a master key? And they said, no, otherwise everybody could steal everybody's luggage. So what did we do? Okay, we broke the lock. I opened it up, and guess what? It wasn't my stuff. So I'm like, oh no. And I had like hundreds of dollars worth of cords and important things in my case, and this person's case had some keys in it. So I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, I got your keys, you poor guy. Some guy's car key, it was guy's clothes and his car keys. So I call up the airport and say, I've got the wrong piece of luggage. And then somehow there had been a tag on it, but it was all like wadded up and really dirty. It looked like it had come from India, and somewhere in the mall it fell out off the piece of luggage. So I didn't know whose luggage it was. So anyway, everybody's coming back. But so that's what happened. And then I said, can you find my luggage? And miraculously, I'd kept this little tiny slip that one of the air flight attendants had given me about the number from my check-in piece. So I drove back to the next day. The same day, because we had gone in the morning. Eric had a fever of 101, so I left him and went to the airport, driving on these crazy freeways at rush hour. I get in there, And then I had to go through a second customs, which I was really scared of because I'm trying to get Canadian residency. So I'm not supposed to be here for a certain number of time. And I was so worried they were going to like prevent me from coming in. But then I got lost in the parking garage in the Toronto airport and wandered around for like an hour. It was freezing. And I'm like, gosh, I called Eric. They took the car because I'm in G4 and, and the car's not there. And he goes, well, like 4, 5 levels. And so finally I found the car, but I had to pay like $35 the time I had spent searching for my car. But the thing is, I got both pieces of luggage on my laptop back in the morning and then the other case later. But what I learned is it's a huge, huge price to pay to get mad at people who treat us like trash. They can just break us, and we cannot allow that. It makes us pathological. So I had such a meltdown because they wouldn't give me a boarding pass. And that meltdown was really because of the way my sisters treated me. After promising to pay for the rental car and this and that, and they wouldn't help me at all. It was just despicable. So we have to be so careful to cling to each other, our spiritual brothers and sisters, and realize that in a true sense, those individuals out there, as both Jan and Travis were reading from in those scriptures, that those who persecute us, we have to be very, very careful because Satan will get us if we've got to keep our balance. We've got to pray to God. And like Eric said, why didn't you just pray on the plane to let it all go? I was so thirsty, and the stewardess laughed at me, and I didn't get any water, and I was dehydrated. I couldn't think straight, and I left my expensive laptop, but I managed to get it back. So I just wanted to share that. It was very, very sad. And then I've had a lot of barrage of nasty texts from my older sister since I left. So it was a total waste of time, a total waste of money, and we can't do it anymore for people who, we think one last try to win their hearts, and it just isn't going to happen if they don't have it in them. So what I learned is we treat them as an enemy because they are an enemy of God in a sense, and Jesus said in Matthew 12, 30, that if you're not with me, you're against me, right? So if they're not with Jesus, they're not with us. And so we can love them as enemies. We can pray for them. We don't give them a blessing. I mean, a cursing. When they give us a cursing, we give them a blessing. And we pray for those who persecute us. So that's what I'm going to just really work on doing. I could have died on the way to the airport. Somebody could have run into me. And so all these comedy of tragedies is just ridiculous. Anyway, I just wanted to share that story since we're all sharing.
Yeah, that was stressful. I can imagine, emotions, when we get hurt, oh boy, we could just, you were hurt. Your sister, I mean, it's your dad. So it's
Well, it's
totally,
decades of
yeah,
hurt, being treated
yeah,
like, oh, there she goes in one of her moods, she's
right.
gonna pray to God. That
Yeah,
kind of thing really hurts.
yeah, it
And
does hurt. It does. Gosh, and then like you said, a comedy of, for me, like what's really helped me, like, I find that having left the organization and all of Kevin's family shunning, us, and then all of these people that I still love. I can't help it. I love them very much, even though they're shunning me. The only
Mhm.
thing that gets me from allowing myself to enter that dark space where you get, like, I know when we were in the organization, Kevin and I would get hurt, and then we would like feed off that pain. And then
Right.
energy would
Yeah.
be like, I can't believe, and it's true,
Yeah.
it was true. We were hurt. It was legitimate pain. And the organization would say, well, Jehovah will take care of it and sweep everything under the rug. And then I would get more
Yeah.
hurt. We just were fixated. And now I go, I think what I'm going to do is just feel sorry for them and just
Yeah.
feel sad that
Exactly.
they can't love. How sad that your sisters, no matter what's gone on, Wendy, we don't know the family dynamics in all of our
Mhm.
families, But it's
Mhm.
so sad that they can't, at this stage in the game, show you love. How sad.
Yeah.
You're flying out to see them and they can't. So
No.
all you can do is just, gosh, I hope one day they're able to see the light and pity them, really. I pity
Yeah.
witnesses because witnesses, they don't
Mhm.
know how to love. And a lot of people in
Right.
the world don't know how to love either. But we
Right.
do. So rock
Love
on
that.
with our love. That's all I can, I just
Rock
think
on.
I know how to love now
Mhm.
that I'm out.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much, Marissa. Uh, Alice wants to say something. Go ahead, Alice.
I know what it's like to not be able to talk to some of your relatives in your family, because I have two aunties that don't talk to me, and they treat my mum, my dad, my grandparents, which are on my mum's side, horribly. Um, I used to text to one of my aunties in England here, because one's in Italy, and they blocked me, so I couldn't at all send her messages at all. I couldn't send her nothing. And even now, I still miss her. Like I say, Mum, do you miss your sister, my aunties? And she don't, because I really miss them. I want to see them again, but they never want peace. I even pray to Jehovah to make them have a clean heart. But a sister said that if Jehovah can't touch their hearts, then that means that their heart is stone. So I
Oh,
kind of miss them.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alice, you're going through that. That's
It's
painful to see, huh?
It's okay. It happened for 5 years. I'm now
Mm.
12, so it happens like when I was 8. Yes,
Eight,
8.
8 years old.
stay
Yeah,
there.
I don't know how anybody could not talk to, first of all, such a cute little girl as yourself, but any little girl. I don't know. I don't think I would have ever had the heart to do that, even myself, as indoctrinated as I was. You're a delight, and I'm sorry that you've had to go through that. That's just horrible. My dad was not a witness. He was worldly my whole life. And you know, every day he would go to work. My mom would drop him off sometimes, and I would go with her before school. And my dad is probably one of the kindest men I've ever known in my life. And
Wow.
every day he would walk by this man and say, "Good morning." And the man would ignore him and grunt. And so he
Wow.
did this for years, for years. And my
Wow.
mom was like, why do you lower yourself to be mistreated by this man? And he said, because it is a good morning and I want him to have a good morning. And
Wow.
years later, I'm talking 20 years later after they retired, this man apologized to my dad and thanked him for being kind all those years to him, despite his grumpiness. And so I
Lo-
took a powerful lesson from that. When people are unkind to you, it's about them, it's not about you.
Mhm.
So, you just power through with your beautiful artistic way and draw pictures and, be kind to whoever that you come across. And if you're having a grumpy day, you might not be so kind that day, and that's okay too. But for me, there's so much power in kindness and in love, even in the face of grumpiness. Because one day your aunties may come to you and say, "Oh my goodness, I'm so glad that you still love me." You just never
Aw.
know.
Mhm.
Mhm. What about
Beautiful.
what about you?
I'm still trying to sort it out in my head and in my heart.
I have
Yeah.
a sister named Alice too, so I'm never going to forget your name.
Hey, Valerie Rose, how's Jacob's eye?
Oh, it's still blurry. He's wearing a patch.
Oh, is it going to get better?
Well, it's supposed to, but if it don't, maybe I'll find a specialist or something.
Mhm,
You know, we just went to the emergency room
mhm,
Oh, no.
and it was busy.
mhm.
Did he hurt his eye?
Oh, he just woke up with it and it was really blurry
Ooh.
and sore, but hopefully it'll go away. I thought maybe this morning it would be better, but it's not. I'm sure it'll be all right.
I hope so.
But
Yeah,
thanks
keep
for
me
asking.
informed. Yeah, keep
Yeah.
me informed. Air Cold hands up. Hey, Air Cold. I love his name. Just keep laughing at that.
Hi, this is
Oh, hi.
directed for Philosophia's daughter. What is your first name again? Say it again for me.
Alice Manta. Manta is my
Oh,
son.
okay, Alice. Okay. So, unfortunately, those individuals who are still in the organization, you've heard a lot about indoctrination, about being in a cult. Uh, they end up being, it's a type of brainwashing that has happened. And it takes sometimes a long time for individuals to be able to get away from that brainwashing. So try not to hold it against them. Be patient with them and pray for the intervention of the Holy Spirit whenever their hearts have been touched by something that might be traumatic in their life, and they may finally get to see that what they have been taught for however many years that they've been taught it, it just isn't the truth. And then, just like that gentleman who 20 years later realized that that man was kind to him, they're going to realize that they need to give you an apology. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
That was so sweet.
Thank you, Forrest.
Go ahead, Joel and Tanya, and Sadie. Sadie.
Oh, this is also for Alice. I can actually relate to you because my aunts and uncles, we don't have communication with them either. So I have lost them too, and I just wanted to share that connection.
Oh, little hug.
Mum, you're unmuted.
Oh yeah, sorry.
It's
Didn't you hear me? I said thank you. Everybody can hear you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Love you lots. I can be your auntie, and Alice can be your little sister as well,
No,
if you want.
cousin.
Or cousin, sister.
And I'm not little. I am a
Well,
grown
for me you
adult.
are. You are little.
Well, I am not. I am not, mother. I am not.
and it's I think for us, for me, it was a little hard at first because I lost my two brothers. They're in the organization, so they made it clear that they don't want anything to do with us, which is I wasn't surprised. Wasn't unexpected, and somewhat with that, at least in my mind, there's some closure, I guess, because I know what to expect, and that is nothing. But it's also somewhat difficult because then my wife's side of the family, her sisters kind of took the same stand initially, but they still will have some communication with us. So that makes things a little difficult because you're trying to navigate what their aims are and it's real sporadic and hit and miss as to what it is. And then then you also have my mother, who is also a witness, but has said she will not shun us. She would continue to, and she lives nearby, and she's older, and they need our help, and we're happy to help them. And that's what's come up the last starting last week. She sent me a text of something to the effect of, "Oh, I don't know if you still look at the Watchtower, but this week's Watchtower lesson is about obedience, and you might want to share it with Sadie so that she understands what parents expect of kids." And that just really, it kind of set my emotions on edge, and I was debating what kind of reply to make, because part of the article was somewhat decent, but then of course I didn't just read one part of the article. I looked through the whole thing, and then it gets into organizational obedience and all this stuff, and so I was debating to say something or not, and I decided I'm just gonna let it go. I'll just let it pass. If she wants to get her little shots in here and there, she can. Because I think that this past summer, when she comes by the one time, she brought the invitation to the convention and just said something to my wife about, "Oh, isn't that such a beautiful picture? Like what, why are you showing this to us? You already know where we stand on this." And then, but then this morning she sent an email, and I know why she sent it, but it really set me over the edge of, there's just no of trying to establish a boundary with her.
Why do you think it set you over the edge, Joel?
It was a link to a recent JW.org newsreel thing about branch expansion, and my brother was quoted. So I'm sure she's so proud of him, oh, he was quoted on the official website and this and that. And like she's in complete denial somewhat, I think, of the reality of the situation. Like, she's aware of it, but she will not really acknowledge the actual situation. And
Is that what set you over the edge? I mean, like, what made you?
Yeah, because it, like, I'm obviously not interested in their branch expansion, and it's just about my brother. It's just because there's an article that quotes my brother who will have nothing to do with me. So why would I care? Why would I care that he's quoted and what he has to say? I'm dead to him. So why should I care that he's quoted? And I don't know why she feels a need to point that out, that that even existed. Just because she's had issues with him and his wife, and they are not on good speaking terms either, really. Family dynamic issues. And I had a conversation with her about that. And then the next week something came up, and I said, "Oh, our dysfunctional family." And she said, "What dysfunction?" She said, "Your family?" I said, "No, my brothers and us." And she's like, "Oh, we're not dysfunctional." And I thought, is this the same person I was talking to the previous week that was complaining about the dysfunctional nature of things? So,
denial, isn't it? It's denial.
It has to be.
In the face of it, I have the same problem with my mum. I mean, she's in the org. My sisters, I'm completely dead to them. They don't want to have nothing to do with me. Even though technically I'm still in, but basically they don't want to have nothing to do with me. We're all dead for them. And every now and again, knowing, they treat her not very nicely, but every now and again they do something, and they always, like, to me it gets to me because it feels like, oh, they're really good in her eyes and I'm nothing, and I'm not doing anything, you know, I'm the black sheep, and they're doing much better in a spiritual sense. So I understand where you're coming from. And I think is the conclusion that I've come is that this society has made it so to produce so many narcissistic people on different degrees of narcissism. They make you feel so insignificant. And at the end of the day, it's, if they don't talk, it's because it's my fault, because I must have done something, you know. Whatever they do, I should be the doormat and they should, you know, walk over me.
You're the scapegoat. You're the
Yeah.
easy scapegoat. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It produces narcissistic people. That's what I've come to the conclusion. They produce narcissistic people.
Yeah, and I mean, I give my mom credit because she doesn't. I don't think she views us. She doesn't view us any doesn't view us negatively at all. I don't think. I think she genuinely loves her three sons equally. That's what she's always said, and I think that that's true based on the way she interacts with each of us, but she will not acknowledge, she's in denial of our stand on things and on the reality of the relationship between my brothers and myself. And right when we were done with the organization and we made that clear to the people that were close to us, she was hurt, and we had a conversation, and you know, I made it clear with anybody who talked with us, if you want to continue to have contact with us and never want to talk about this sort of thing again, that's fine. You know, I won't bring it up. But at the same time, you know, she keeps bringing up these things. Well, now I feel that I have freedom I should have the freedom to express myself as well. It should not, you know, conversations like that shouldn't be a one-way street. And so I did make a reply in an email, so I'll see what comes of that, but I'm sure it won't be pleasant. But you have to set boundaries in your own mind and also with other people, I think, to be able to cope.
Yeah, but with the Jehovah's Witness way of viewing things, boundaries are, I mean, I remember as a witness, I would climb over fences because I was saving lives.
Yeah,
there was no boundary. If you were my son, all bets are off, but I don't want to hear your apostate nonsense. But I'm going to sneak whatever I can in to get you back into the fold. So they don't understand, you know, or respect really someone's desire, because in their mind, you're turning away from everlasting life, and she's going to do whatever she can to make sure her baby boy's there with her.
Yes.
So, you know, it's difficult, you know, you either have to be quiet and let her carry on, or take a final stand. And the fear of not having your mom is probably what is maybe making you uncomfortable, I'm thinking, because you want to say something. I don't know. I don't think she's in a position where she would take that finals. Where if I said something that she would just say, well, then forget it. I don't know that she has that in her. But that's
I just had a thought. I think it was Philo who said that, turning them into narcissists. And it brought back something I'd heard many years ago, which I've always found to be true. You become like the God you worship. The organization is narcissistic, there's no doubt about it. And they worship the organization.
Amen.
Above God, above Jesus, above the Bible. So there you go.
Yeah. Birds of a feather, you know, all those.
Yeah. Hey, Sadie, do you have any joke for us today?
From your joke book?
He was just telling us some.
Oh,
Do I have to tell them the dad jokes that I've seen on the billboards? What did one snowman say to the other snowman?
Nobody knows.
You have a nice carrot nose.
I didn't hear
Nobody.
it. Say it again. What was it
That was
again?
that was a good answer. The one that they had was, "Do you smell carrots?"
I knew it. Something like carrots.
That's a good answer.
nobody knows. That was really clever, Alice.
And then the one I saw on a billboard is, what do you call a snowman with a six-pack?
Snowman with a six-pack?
Yes.
In shape.
And Frosty Pack.
Frosty Pack.
Oh, he is clever.
Very good. What they had was an abdominal snowman.
Snowman instead of abominable snowman. Did you get that out?
That's good.
That's good.
I was gonna go back on something, family, is that we always have to remember we have been where our family is,
Yeah.
but they have not been where we are. Okay, they have not reached that tipping point.
Yeah.
And again, with some of us older ones, and was 50 years in,
Wow.
there is a time that you hit that tipping point. They just have not reached theirs.
Yeah.
So they think they're loving you. They're loving you with their whole heart. And you don't know, because I know I had two disfellowship sons, and I have to say I was part of that thing, and I loved them. Every day I loved them.
True.
I did not realize the pain that I was inflicting on them. And I have to say to them, and I'm fortunate because I have 5 out of 6 that are out now. And I look at the ones and I say, oh, baby boys, I'm so sorry, because I can't take back the pain that I inflicted. All I can be is to say, hey, I love you and I'm here.
Yep.
And to love the one that still doesn't talk to me. Just gotta say, we talked to Wendy about this before. My grandchild from my youngest son, that they have not been talking to me. My son had remarried, so my granddaughter is part-time with their mother, and I finally tracked down their phone number in Arizona. And my granddaughter, which is very sad for my son, is now kind of saying, hey, and she's 15. I don't want to be baptized. I want to step back. And I want to think about whether I want to move on in the organization. Think about the pain that caused my son. But think about the joy that it's bringing me. Because now I get to have the contact when she's with her mom. So you got to look at both sides always. Never forget. Never forget. You've been there. You've done it. Now you're not doing it anymore. They're still in. They're in that trap.
Thank you, Jenny. It was beautiful. Philo or Alice.
I got a joke for you.
Good.
Well, that's not even a joke yet. What do you call a banana that's not well?
A sick banana.
No. The banana's not peeling well.
Really well.
Why are you laughing, Mum? You laughing?
Okay, I've got one for you, and some may have heard my joke before, so bear with me.
I haven't.
Okay, I know you haven't. So what did the green grape say to the purple grape?
We're in a jam.
Breathe.
Oh, I don't get it.
Purple grape is holding their breath, so the green grape is saying, you can breathe, go ahead. You won't turn purple anymore.
Oh, cute.
That's silly. I love it. I got one for you. I might have told Sadie last time we were there, but this one's for Alice. What did one ear say to the other ear?
I don't know.
Do you live on this block too?
That's a good one. Good one. Good.
I had one.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Why did the clouds stay home?
Why
Because
Why did clouds
Can you
stay
repeat
home?
that, sweetie? I didn't hear.
Why did the
Oh.
clouds stay home?
Why did the clouds stay home? Okay.
it was cloudy.
they were wet.
It was feeling under the weather.
Mhm.
Okay.
I got one for you. Here's one for you, Alice. What happens when you combine ducks with a cow?
I don't know.
You get a quail?
Close. You get quackers and milk.
I got a
That's a
joke.
great one. I like that one.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Who's there?
Boo.
Boo hoo.
Why are you crying? It's just a joke.
I have one. The baby
What's that?
snake asked its mother if he was poisonous, and she said, "Why?" And he said, "I just bit my tongue."
Ah,
Oh, these are cute.
I have one that a young person told me, and what happens when you eat too much alphabet soup? Jill knows the answer to that one. What happens when you eat too much alphabet soup?
you're
You
full
get
of letters.
vowel movements.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Whole movement.
Vowel movements.
That's cute.
Body jokes. Children love them.
Love it.
Yeah, I was a kid too. The children. Body
I got
jokes.
one. I got
What
one.
is it?
Good.
Why didn't the skeleton go to the ball?
He had no clothes?
Because he couldn't eat anything.
Nope, because he had nobody to go with.
body.
That's even better.
Good one.
We got to get Eric to tell a strawberry joke again.
Oh God.
Tell us. Tell
All
us.
right, I don't know if I can remember it. The last time I blew it. And actually it was funnier when I blew it than.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny. We just about died laughing because Eric.
I don't think you blew it when you told it, because I've looked it up and
That's about what it
that's
was.
about what it
Actually,
was.
there was two. There was the one where the fellow's in the insane asylum. This is an old joke, so you can say things like insane asylum. And he's looking over the wall, and outside there's this worker, and he's shoveling manure onto the strawberry patch, right, for fertilization. And the crazy guy goes, "Hey, what you doing?" He says, I'm throwing manure on top of my strawberries. And he says, oh, you should come in here. We get cream on ours.
Oh.
Oh, very good.
Oh,
I've got one. I hope this isn't too off base for the UK, but here goes. Let me know if it's off base.
That was a gardener's joke.
A gardener's joke. So you have Siamese twins, and you know what Siamese twins are, Sadie? And what's your daughter's name?
Alice.
Alice. So they're joined together physically. They can't be separated. Siamese twins. Okay. So what did one Siamese twin say to the other? He said, let me go to the UK. Why? So I can drive.
Oh, the other side.
So the other side can drive. My other half can drive.
I got a joke.
Okay. What? Say again?
Knock knock.
Who's there?
How's Guy?
How's Guy who?
Nice. How's Guy me?
Understand what she was saying. Say it again. Okay.
What about you, Mum? Do you have another joke?
No, my memory is not.
Okay,
really
here's a very simple joke, which shows the level of sophistication in my mind. What do you do when an elephant breaks its toe?
Pack his trunk.
Getting close.
Pack his tie.
Close. You call the tow truck.
Tow truck.
I just remembered one that an elder told me when I went to his garage to do the MOT. It's funny, and you'll understand why. It was an elder that told me this. There's a man that basically he dies and he goes to heaven. When he goes to heaven and he goes to the gate, he meets with St. Peter, and St. Peter says, I don't know where to place you because you don't have a faith, you don't have a religion. So come along with me and we'll see where to place you. So he goes first to the first door. He opens the door and he sees people. This man starts seeing people bowing down and praying towards the Mecca. And he said, oh, and then he saw all the women that were all covered. And he said, oh, what religion is this? Oh, this is the Muslim religion. I said, oh, okay, no, this is too many rules for me. No, I don't like this one. So he goes to the next one and he sees Buddhists, and then he sees all the practices. He says, no, I don't do well with this one. So he goes to the next door, and while they go to open the door, St. Peter turns around and says, shh, don't make any noise. So they look through this door and they see people praying and you know, showing literature and talking to each other. And he says, and they go, let's go to the next one because I don't like this one. He said, let's go to the next one. So when they go to the next one, he turns around and says, St. Peter says, why did you tell me not to make any noise? Because they're Jehovah's Witnesses and they think they're the only ones up here. Oh. And what made it funny was it was an elder that told me that. So it's like, funny.
You can see that's apropos. That's funny. Good one. Well, I need to go to the grocery store, so I'm going to say goodbye to all of you precious, lovely, beautiful souls. And I hope you have a wonderful time, and I look forward to seeing you as soon as that can be possible. Take care, and thank you all for being you. Bye-bye.
You as well.
Take care, Wendy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye,
See you later. Bye, Star. Bye, Air Cool.
Bye.
See you later. Bye, Star. Thanks so much for
Bye.
your beautiful chats. So nice. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I think Eric bailed off too. Yeah. Joel, you bailed out of that breakout room.
I did. I couldn't take
I-
it anymore, Diana.
I know.
What happened?
That's why I left the WhatsApp group. They had one. It was just contentious.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
too bad.
what happened there, Joel?
Oh, it was unorderly to begin with, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to rein it in. People speaking on top of each other, and it wasn't so. Derek was trying to keep it somewhat scriptural, I think, but it was descending into discord and.
Well, and when you left, it was really sad because Christine had some wonderful scripture. She mentioned First Timothy 2:1-7, and I think it's just sad when
Yeah.
some people
us the
seem
gist
to
of that,
have an
Diane.
agenda.
Give us the gist of that.
The gist.
Yeah.
The voting, most people wanted to say it was their own conscience and that we should have a say-so. And then it was, well, if you have a say-so in a politician that does something bad, are you responsible for that something bad? So in other words, are you guilty of the sins of your father type thing, I guess is what was trying to be said. And I think the gist is that voting is something that is just left down to the individual, and that we should probably have a say-so in what happens, because in First Timothy, it's pretty much was saying that, I don't even remember how it says, but Christine brought it out, but I'll look it up. But I think the gist of it was that, and I brought out that voting wasn't in the first century and that it's kind of an evolving thing that we have to do. And then Bill brought out that it's the human condition to have like a say. Everybody has to have a say, and when the majority says one thing, then the minority should go along with the majority to keep it unified and peaceful. Craig pretty much said the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. By the time of the first century, only there really was, like you said, no voting. But prior to that, prior to the emperors getting in charge of the Roman Empire, it was really only the senators and the other wealthy persons in Rome that did the voting. The common man did not vote.
Right. Well, they didn't have to, right?
Exactly.
Precisely.
Yeah. So I don't know. And then I don't know. Some people were saying that politics is just a corrupt system, and I was trying to say it's the people in the politics that are corrupt. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I thought there was some good points brought out, but when people don't listen to each other, it doesn't get very far.
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
And that was predicted in Paul's letter to Timothy, not open to any agreement.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the famous scriptures that we used to use in the field ministry. You know, when talking about how things would be in the last days.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then we were given questions: what beast is on what throne, and what beast is here, and was just doing a really dive that nobody was very comfortable with. I don't know. It was a different breakout room for sure.
One for voting, right? That's the one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
voting.
Yeah. There was one a couple of weeks ago that started descending into some, I don't even remember the specific thing they said, but when it was said, I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm out.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yep. Good night, everyone.
You knew it was going down a dark hole, huh?
Exactly. Yeah. There was one individual in particular, and I don't remember his name, but you know, when he said what he said, I was like, no, can't be part of this.
Yeah.
It's interesting for me, like listening to people when they are dissenting or when things get contentious. It's interesting because we come from such a rigid, united oneness of thought that I find it fascinating that people almost have this need, almost like a vomiting, like they have to purge all of this stuff that's inside, and the filters are completely gone, and there's a disregard for the people in the room. Often, sometimes it can be disrespectful, and we just have to be kind and give them time, hopefully, to get better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, for me personally, I think voting would come down to the same thing that came up when we discussed when we had breakout rooms about Christmas and holidays, and the Saturday group had a breakout room about abortion. It's going to come down to a conscience matter. There's nothing black and white in the scriptures about it.
Exactly.
And I think if different people want to offer constructive spiritual references and opinions on it, I'm open to hearing them. But when it is purely personal opinion and injecting, and often it's said so strongly, it's not, doesn't take into account those scriptures that we've considered in Romans and Corinthians about differences of opinion, of not judging the brother who doesn't want to, and the person who does should have the brother who doesn't want to in mind. When the speech gets to that point, it's just like, I don't need to, because then you factor in we all have different perspectives about political things, right? And it just can just lead to such a divisive conversation.
Yeah.
So that's just why I had to bail out, because it just was not going to be.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Constructive.
Enlightening. Yeah. I find it now, having left the organization, for me personally, to keep peace with my neighbor and my family, I just avoid what is the old saying, politics and religion. I completely am mute. Whereas before I was like the first person to weigh in on just about everything. I want people to feel loved, honestly, in this world that we live in and come from. You just want people. I've been following this podcast. One of my classes, my professors encouraged us to listen to a podcast. We had to do an essay, a piece on whatever one we chose, and it's called The Happiness Lab. It's a podcast by a Yale professor, and she interviews this guy in England who goes around. I don't remember the guy's name, but he basically compliments everybody in a genuine way as he's passing by them. And I just love that. I want to start doing that, because when it's genuine and it comes from, if you see somebody, oh my gosh, I love your hat. You just see their face light up and they feel noticed. And that's what we need in life, because we were invisible, especially as women, but many of us were invisible in the organization. And to make someone feel heard and seen, I think, is one of the biggest things I can do. I don't need to get a 4-year degree to do that. I don't need to have a lot of money. And so I'm going to start. It's called The Happiness Lab. If any of you guys are interested, she's wonderful, wonderful.
Well, and that's what was brought out too. It's a simple basic love your neighbor as
Right.
yourself, and love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And bottom line, and then it was like, well, how does voting love your neighbor? And then it was, well, because I don't even really remember. It was to show how we care, we voice our opinion. And if we love our neighbor, we want to make sure that bad things don't happen. And so we have a voice and we try to make things change. And then it was like, well, things don't change through voting. And then some examples were brought up that, yeah, they were, but you know, it's just, it was a back and forth, and there was no meeting of the minds, so to speak.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
is what I would think breakout rooms are for, because people have genuine questions and they just want to get different opinions, you know? And then, yeah, so anyway.
It's hard. There's sometimes people, the teacher will come, I mean, when the student is ready, you know, I know for myself, I was not ready to take in any information at all that was different because I was taught to close it all off. So it takes time for that circuitry to even be open to a different opinion. And so I personally am so excited now because I love listening to different opinions. I may not agree with them, but I'm like, oh, that's an interesting way of viewing that. I never thought that. There's a lot. I mean, I just never thought about so many different things as a witness that it's exciting actually to be able to talk to. Kevin and I went to Knott's Berry Farm, I think it was yesterday, and we sat next to, we were watching, before we would have never watched these like Christmas carols or like Santa, Snoopy on Ice would have been off because, you know, it was all pagan. And we just had so much fun. We sat next to this family with kids and I go, oh, are these your kids? And she's like, sweet as pie. She goes, do you want a cup of coffee? And I was like, oh, okay. She goes, I have a pass. Follow me. So we go, Kevin and I, Starbucks coffee. And then we met her brother-in-law, and he's like an artist for like Universal Studios, Disneyland. He did the Knott's map. He's like really renowned Disney artist. I mean, like we got to meet him. We exchanged numbers and I walked away and I told Kevin, can you believe these worldly people are like so kind and generous? I would have never been open to talking to anybody unless I was the one with the upper hand in the agenda of bringing them into the organization. And the world is our oyster now, you know, and people are lovely. I mean, they really are. It's just, I don't know. It's so lovely.
I am grateful for the fact that I was not born in. I did come into contact with the organization at a fairly early age. Next door neighbor first. I was 8 years old. I was going to Catholic school, and we were comparing our vacation times. She even invited me to the Kingdom Hall, which I went to. And then about a year later comes my mom telling us all that she is going to become one of Jehovah's Witnesses. And that's when it started. You know, but I had that that perspective, you know, even a worldview that had already been set in motion. So I was able to pick and choose that which comported with my worldview from the organization. And finally, after many decades, it finally fell through, and it just wasn't up to muster. That is the organization. Just wasn't up to muster.
So you were 8 years old, Aircool, when you started going to meetings regularly?
Not regularly. I was 9 years old when I started going to meetings regularly. I was actually dissuaded by a very alert and astute next door neighbor on the other side who owned the neighborhood store. You don't want anything to do with these people because. And okay, fine. Well, if that's the case, you know, okay. But then along comes my mom, and well, who of us can resist our mom at 9 years of age?
Not many.
There you go.
Not if they want any hide on their butt.
Yes, and
Including your belly.
we are talking about the late 1950s, early 1960s.
Yeah, that
So,
was
yeah.
spanking time. Yeah,
Yes, it was.
with the belt too.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy times. Forcing.
All right. It was good spending this time with all of you. We're gonna head out for the week.
Okay.
See
Good
you all
night.
next weekend.
Yeah,
I think
excellent.
too,
Excellent. Excellent meeting. Excellent association. Thank you all.
Bye
Bye,
bye, everybody.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye, Tanya. Bye, Sadie.
like